It should be coming up soon. Oh, niggas didn't go live. Where the fuck is CJ? CJ said he was gonna be on. Oh, there we go. All right, still waiting for one more, so we'll count it down. Just in case. The first one was a general kind of overview about like movies and that kind of stuff, just giving you guys a brief overview of what we generally talk about and are into, which is pretty much everything. Like I said, movies, TV shows, cartoons, video games, action figures, you name it, Dungeons and Dragons, anything nerdy, we probably talking about it in the basement. But today specifically is going to be focused on video games. And right now probably the hottest thing out. Oh damn! Based off of the it just being new, and then of course it's a massive franchise. Is Zelda. I don't know how much of that you actually caught because I am breaking up. My connection is trash. But yeah, if anything, Cedric, you can go ahead and kind of kick it off for us, man. Actually, before we do that, because I know most of us have been here before, but Deontay is a first timer here. That is in Kyridian for, I guess, well, nobody's watching yet, but anybody who does watch in Kyridian. So, but what we'll do is we'll kind of go around again and just give a brief introduction to who you are, what you're into. Now, one thing to also keep in mind is that nobody here is a professional. So if we do mess up on stuff or get names wrong and stuff like that, not a big deal. We're all just fans. You know, we make mistakes. That doesn't mean we don't know what we're talking about. We just, we get a little confused sometimes or, just mix some stuff up. But if anything, I am Sam, D-Man. You can follow me at My Dad's Basement. I have a Facebook, IG, YouTube. TikTok is mostly where all my stuff is. So definitely check that out. But I pretty much am into just about everything: Marvel, DC, comic book stuff, any of the 80s and 90s cartoons, 80s and 90s movies, pretty much any movie really, especially bad movies. I love bad movies for some reason. But yeah, I collect action figures too, as you can see all behind me. So I'm generally kind of a jack of all trades. I know a little about a lot. I know a lot about a lot of other stuff. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. CJ, oh geez, he's not even here. Cedric, the other C guy. You can go ahead and give a brief synopsis, man.
All right. Well, as I was on the last episode, Cedric, aka Blazing Link. I am currently playing Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, and which we'll get into it a little bit. But for the most part, I'm just all about anything. For the most part, video games, Nintendo, mainly Nintendo franchise. I'm a collector of lots of Zelda merch. As you can see in the background, you got posters, amiibos, Zelda amiibos. So anything Zelda, I'm basically talking about it. My man stuck in the quantum realm.
Yeah. We need some PEM particles. Somebody get that man out.
I guess we'll go to Inkai.
Hey everybody, my name is Deontay. I go by Inkyridian. I wouldn't be in the basement if I wasn't a nerd. I don't have any merch behind me right now, but I am repping some old school. I got Jurassic Park, but same thing. Video games. I'm very, very heavy on PlayStation. A little bit of Switch here and there, but I love RPGs, JRPGs. Right now, I'm currently playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which I'll probably talk about a little bit later. Marvel, DC. Fun fact: favorite hero is probably Doctor Strange. Favorite villain is the Joker. But yeah, it's just a little bit about me.
All right, guys. I'm
Says a lot
Roger.
about you, by the way. I just want you to know that. Go ahead, Raj. My bad.
All right, guys. I'm Raj.
Oh,
Big
he's like
PlayStation
too.
fan as well. No, not the way you were a Joker face for a minute. No, big PlayStation person. Currently playing No Man's Sky. Got back into that. What else? Surviving Mars, another RPG, real time strategy game. And just downloaded Space Mission. Yes. Currently playing all space theme right now.
I
Hence
know
the shirt.
you're engineers. I didn't even peep that. That's dope. Bring your camera down. Let me see it.
Give me space.
Give me
Hey,
space.
shout out to NASA.
That's dope. Right. All right. We are missing one. We're missing CJ. I'm assuming he'll jump in at some point, probably in the middle of somebody, and then want to be like, "Oh, hey, my bad." But it's all good. Like I said, it's just a couple guys hanging out. It's not a big deal. But if anything, I'm super excited to hear about Tears of the Kingdom because I'm not heavy into Zelda or Nintendo. I'm familiar with the lore to a certain extent, but I don't know much about it. So I'm definitely super excited to hear about it. And I think you got some clips for us to look at too.
Yes, I do. So let me go ahead and share my screen on one of them. But for the most part, without doing any spoiler-heavy content, Tears of the Kingdom, I will say it is definitely a massive improvement to Breath of the Wild. And just let me know if y'all see my screen.
Man.
You see? Are you able to see it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's my connection.
No, I don't see anything right now.
Yeah, I'm about to add it right now.
There it is.
Okay.
No, I haven't. I gotta add it to it. There we go.
Okay, so I'll just let this play a little bit as I'm talking. But for the most part, Tears of the Kingdom is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. The whole concept of Breath of the Wild was Link had to fight with these 4 different heroes from different regions to stop the Calamity Ganon. And unfortunately, Calamity Ganon had taken over Hyrule's technology, the Guardians, and laid waste to all of the land of Hyrule, critically injuring Link, which he had to be in a deep slumber for 100 years. So you start off waking up with no memory of what happened, and throughout your adventure, you had to regain your memory while trying to purify the divine beast that each warrior had in the past. Because now at this point, they're all dead. So you're just trying to gather your memories and figure out what happened to Zelda, figure out what happened while you were asleep, and fight the Calamity. Now, after doing said adventure, now we have Tears of the Kingdom, where Link and Zelda essentially go traveling down to the Hyrule Castle to find Ganondorf. This magical entity essentially broke its magical steel again over him. So now you have now you have actual Ganondorf that you have to go up against. And so once again, Link is stuck having to, and it's funny because everyone had to actually talk about how you got all these hearts, you got all your stamina, you basically maxed out at the beginning of the game in Tears of the Kingdom. How do you from Breath of the Wild into Tears of the Kingdom, how they gonna nerf him? And they nerfed him by the Calamity essentially consumed Link's arm, causing him to lose all his gained hearts from the past game. So that was actually a pretty cool touch on how to basically nerf him, just like how every other Zelda he's starts at 3 hearts.
Right.
The one thing I will say, they added
That's
the
dope.
build feature. They added a build feature, which I'll show right now. It's really cool because there's so much creativity that they
That's dope.
Nintendo has given the player to do. I've seen, and this is just something light, just a driving cart, but I've seen stuff like helicopters, bombing planes, fighter jets, tanks, even mechs. People have like made mech suits in the game and just obliterating enemies with ease. So it makes the game, like, if you have a creative mind, it just makes the games that much more fun.
Sandbox, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an open world, but it's still like contained in like a sandbox. But yeah, it is like a big sandbox. I'll say that. And then a lot of things now in the first Breath of the Wild, they allowed you to traverse just the lands of Hyrule. And so I'll show you a clip of that. They actually now have 2 other areas that you can traverse. Right here is what they call the chasms. So now you go underground and you'll find different enemy types that are corrupted by the calamity Ganon. So if you get hit by the enemies down in the chasms, you'll lose a heart, but you'll also lose the ability to replenish that
Now
heart.
you're tainted.
Yeah, you're tainted now. So now you have to either go back to the surface to regain the ability to get those hearts back, or of course cook up something to help bring back your hearts. So the main, I would say, going to the chasms is definitely probably for a little bit more advanced once you start getting a feel for the game, because starting off I had a hard time and I had to leave immediately. And then also they have you traversing the skies, where you have such a beautiful scenery. Like it just shows how massive this world is. Because Breath of the Wild was big, but Tears of the Kingdom, it just truly shows how massive this game is.
Damn.
And honestly,
Does it still include the original map from Breath of the Wild, or is it like they just build on top of it? Or
so that is actually a great question. So with this Tears of the Kingdom map, from playing Breath of the Wild, some of it looks the same, but some of the landscape has changed. Just, I would say some areas changed drastically, while others kind of stay a little bit similar.
Okay.
So you'll like a village that you played in Breath of the Wild. If you go to Tears of the Kingdom to that same village, you'll look like, oh, okay, I remember that place, but something's different about it. Like there's certain things are tweaked a little bit to accommodate for the change of what Ganondorf has done to the world, as well as you have some certain characters like everyone's fan favorite now. Purah, she's a Hylian scientist. She was a woman that turned herself into a little girl by mistake. So she's still a grown woman, but she had a child's body. And now in this one, when you run into her, she is now a full-grown, like basically a full-grown body adult. So now everybody's just like cheesing and geeking over her now.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but there are some so far as I've been playing through, there are some fan.
Isaiah, that sounds like a setup.
Right.
Yeah, that's all. Like, oh, that's a trap. That's a trap.
But there are some fan favorites that I haven't seen yet. I don't know if they're still there, but so far it seems like they're completely out the game. There's this big bird guy named Kaz. He used to play music for Link everywhere he goes, and for some reason he is no longer in there anymore. As far as I can tell.
So what's the green or blue thing
section?
that's like following you as you're falling or flying?
Oh, so without spoiling it, those are different power-ups you get throughout the game. You have to do like some of the main quests, but for the most part, yeah, there's just different power-ups that Link gets through completing certain quests to help him do combat.
Oh, that's
But
dope.
you had a question, Roger?
I said because I saw you jump off, and the thing like followed you. Yeah.
Yeah, so between games 1 and 2, it looks fairly similar as far as graphics and everything. Did they scale that up, or did they just scale the sandbox up?
I believe they. To be honest, I feel like they didn't really touch on the graphics. I feel like the graphics are relatively the same from playing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They feel, I mean, it feels familiar. I won't say that they probably didn't tweak it a little bit to accommodate for the massive scale that they created for us, because for the most part, they allowed you to traverse the skies as well as traverse the underground. So they had to do something to give that balance for graphic and the massive expansion. And a lot of people, I know a lot of people make comments about this is probably DLC, like this is DLC gameplay. It's much more than that, because to be honest, this feels like an entirely new game just based off of how different certain missions and how much they added to the continuation.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say
None
the
of that
scale and scope of it looks
Arkham City.
insane.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Because if you look at it, Arkham City versus Arkham Knight, you can see Arkham City and Arkham Asylum in the backgrounds of that universe that you have access to. They're scaled differently. So it's like they're still in the same sandbox, but you're just to the side. Now, what you're saying is like you have full access to that plus some.
Yeah, it's basically like Breath of the Wild was, okay, you have access to the jungle gym, but now with Tears of the Kingdom, you got
the whole park.
bars, you got the slides, you got the sand pit, you got all these different areas now that you can jump into. The first game was still big, but now we just made it bigger.
That's dope.
And for me,
dope.
I feel like $70 price tag. To be honest, it's they definitely made it well received as far as the $70, because when I first saw the price, when they first dropped the price, I automatically felt like this was going to be a huge game, because I know even though Nintendo isn't always perfect, I'm not going to sit there and act like every company's perfect with, games. I will honestly say making this $70 versus how Sony and Microsoft just make every game $70, this was justifiable right here.
We'll probably see more games like that from the Nintendo side.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just gonna say Nintendo actually won the console war. I don't know if y'all knew that, but the Microsoft CEO just said that they clearly lost, because I think we kind of briefly talked about it the other day that Microsoft don't really have any decent exclusives anymore. All they have is Halo, which hasn't been good in a long time. Sony's got some really good exclusives. The portability on the Switch, I think, just plus the exclusives, that just put it above the competition, like hands down. But I mean, I haven't gotten one. My daughter has one, and I would get one to play stuff with her. But I've always been a person that I want to play on a big TV. But as I've gotten older, and like, you know what I mean, you're out doing stuff, or you're sitting somewhere where you gotta wait for a long time. A lot of times I'm like, man, I wish I had like my PS Vita when I had it back in the day, so I could just pull it up and remote play on my stuff while I'm here. I do it on my phone sometimes, but yeah, no, man, the Switch I think is, I think that is definitely gonna. I think Sony and Microsoft are probably gonna take major notes from what Nintendo did with the Switch moving forward. Because I mean, like it's undeniable. Like, I mean, people can say, or they used to say about them having just, like, I guess E for everyone kind of game, and that was pretty much it. But they didn't change that now too. There's like Dead Space, like, you know what I mean? There's like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
The E for everyone. It's like like you can play whatever. We got that too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they did have Mortal Kombat.
So I got a question for you, Cedric. Since I've I was gonna say, since I've never really played any of the Zelda games, I've seen them play, but since I never played them personally, is it something that I could just jump into and not be like, oh, like I have no idea what's going on? Like I said, I do have a basic understanding of the lore, like for the most part, as far as on a general basis, not from Breath of the Wild or anything like that. But
so to be completely honest, if you start with, well, for the most part, if you start with Breath of the Wild, because jumping into Tears of the Kingdoms, you'll be completely lost to some of the characters. Like you can still play it because they'll give you a kind of like a recap.
Right.
But
Right.
if you play Breath of the Wild first, then playing Tears of the Kingdom, you'll get to really understand and admire some of the returning characters as well as some new characters that have reference to the older characters. But for the most part, most of the Zelda games aren't connected as far as story wise. They're just like they have a timeline for, you know, this era of Link, this era of Zelda with this Ganondorf, and you know what happens after that game. It goes to this timeline, but for the most part, all the Zeldas are for the most part just fragmented in time in different time periods,
self-contained.
Yeah.
So is it a thing where Zelda and Link are getting reincarnated, or is that what is it like?
Yeah, I
like
was gonna say it sounds very like multiversal.
Yeah. So basically, the lore behind it is there's like, and this is what I think I remember someone telling me. For every 100 Links, 100 Zeldas, there's like the I think 10 Ganondorfs. So basically, it's like I'm sorry, not 100. So every 10 Links, every 10 Zeldas, there's one Ganondorf that opposes them. There's always going to be that like multiple. That's the same Ganondorf in different games, but just drawn out differently. He dies, gets sealed away in time, and then he breaks from his prison to once again wreak havoc on the next generation of Link and Zelda who opposes him. But yeah, it's always a different Link for the most part. I think with the exception of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, that's the same Link. Then Twilight Princess comes out, that's a totally different Link. Wind Waker, that's a totally different Link. You know, and so on and so forth. So there are some games that kind of are on the same path, but then once that story concludes, it's a totally different Link that's destined to essentially be the hero that saves Hyrule from the brink of destruction.
So do the Links have knowledge of the other Links? Like, that the other guys are like a history book that says like, oh, there was a Link back 200 years ago who ridded the world of Ganondorf. How did he do that? Like, is it anything like that?
Right.
Or
so they don't know each. Well, from what I remember from Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker, I know they had a little story at the beginning where they were waiting for the hero of time to come and save them, but he never showed up. That was because I think that timeline, Link was old. I think he fell to Ganon, or it was something like I gotta look at my timeline, but from what I remember, that Link is no longer with them, and so the old Hyrule was swept under the sea to protect it from Ganondorf. So now more generations go by. Now a new Link is born and reincarnated for the most part. So he has no idea of his past person, but he knows that back then it was someone that was a hero who wore a green tunic. So for the most part, most of the Links know that once you wear the green garb, it's like, okay, I have a destiny. I have a big destiny ahead of me.
okay, so kind of like what you were saying, almost, Deontay, where it's not multiversal, but it definitely spans over a lot of different time periods, and there's definitely connections between these characters in the time periods. Yeah.
Right.
That's dope.
You know, as you said that, my first thought was Darkseid and Superman.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because Darkseid is only one person. Darkseid through the multiverse is only one person, and that physical form isn't him. Like that's a construct of his power. So it's always like a different Superman, but it's always one Darkseid.
Damn. So that
was something I've seen. Yeah, I found that out more recently. You were saying that it's Darkseid is like one entity, but he's a part of the multiverse somehow. Like if you look at it, like Darkseid or the sphere that is Apocalypse. What is the name of that planet?
It's Apocalypse.
Okay, so the sphere that is Apocalypse lives outside of the mortal realm. So he pretty much, that Apocalypse moves and operates outside of the multiverse.
Damn. Yeah, you just hit me to some knowledge because I damn sure didn't know that.
That was my first thought when you said all that.
Yeah, and it's funny because they actually have a collection of different mangas from that. Someone actually made like a manga series of different Zeldas that I've collected over the years, and they kind of, even though it's not like canon, they have like almost like a in-depth author explanation of some of the lore behind Legend of Zelda. So it's a good read if you're interested in something like that. But I would definitely say the stories from Twilight Princess to some of the older games that they've made manga versions of is really worth reading.
That's dope. So I just with any kind of mythos in general, I have become of the mindset that the only canon that really matters is the head canon. Like, especially all the stuff that's happened with Star Wars, the head canon is all that matters. Like, I know for me, when it comes to the DC universe, TAS is my canon. Anything else is based off of that, and then we're jumping off from there. So, like the comic books, that's cool. That's some great comics in the DC universe, but TAS, that's my starting point for anything DC universe. So I'm starting there, and so okay, is this Kevin Conroy? Okay, nope, this is something else. Okay, cool. Like, but yeah, no, I'm with that 150%. So you're giving it like, I guess, like a 10 out of 10. Can you give an unbiased opinion?
So okay, so honestly, an unbiased opinion, because is that, and it's going to sound like, oh no, that's pretty biased. I will say, to be honest, this game really is. All right, can I go with you? No, but no, I will say it's definitely a 10 because they give you so much to do. Even the infamous Korok quest of finding all the Koroks from Breath of the Wild, that was frustrating. But even like that, they brought that back. They had so many different side quests. They have so many different ways you can battle. You can battle with NPCs, because in the first one you weren't able to do that. Now you can. So it's just so much they added to this game and more. And I can't complain. It's a lot. They give you a lot of hours to just play around with this game.
Wait, NPCs can be allies?
Yeah, so now, because in the first one they didn't have that really where NPCs can like help you in battle that much. I mean, maybe a couple, like, but now like you have like fortresses that you can fight, like monster fortresses, and you can actually go with accompanying NPCs that are going that direction to fight, and then you can actually fight with them.
Squad. So, like, is there any kind of multiplayer in it? Because you were saying something about getting help from before and getting different warriors in different regions. So there's no multiplayer.
No multiplayer, all single player, but just for the most part, they added NPC assistance. So basically, it could be one bokoblin sitting there, and it was like, what up? But I definitely will say this.
That reminds me, there's this game I used to play on PS2. I think it's called Homefront. I tried to look at Homefront's a totally different game. But it was a PS2 game. It was made by the same people who made like Tomb Raider, like Eidos. I think they made it. And basically it was like America and like New York. First of all, you played a plumber, so very Mario-esque. You play a plumber like in New York, and like the New York gets invaded by like Russians or something. And like I think your brother ends up getting killed or something. And so like you kind of end up being a part of like this revolution. But while you're on these missions, like there are different like NPCs are part of the revolution also. You basically have a squad, and like I don't know how many that you can max it out as, but that was the thing I love the most about that game, is walking around on these missions, and I got like 10 people with me. I could be like, yo, y'all go over there. Like, you know what I mean? Go fight them dudes. I'm gonna chill back here while y'all work that out, and I'm gonna give you some support. Like right. Yeah, no, that was my favorite thing about that game. So I'm always down for being able to kind of recruit NPCs. Now, I do notice in a lot of games nowadays, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with like just the processing of the game and the consoles, but they only limit you to like 4 total maybe, and you maybe get like 3 and you're the 4th person. And I've always been like, man, like that's cool, but like I want like a whole like squad with me where I got like 7 people back then. I'm like, yeah, y'all go over there, the rest of y'all go over here, I'm up the middle. But I don't know. But yeah, so we had mentioned before we were kind of going to talk about some of the older Zelda games. You mentioned Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time. Do you have a personal favorite out of the older ones? Because obviously this new one is still new, quite settled into the franchise as a whole, because it's still fresh. So, like I said, unbiasedly. But where would you, I guess, like, what's your favorite Zelda game so far, and where would you put this game in the rankings of all the ones that you've played?
So I will say my favorite is between Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo and Link Between Worlds, which is somewhat of a continuation of Link to the Past for the 3DS. Just something about the classic Zelda and the music, the music, the fights, the monsters in the game just resonate with me in those games in particular. I will say that in to put on the scale the top three, I would definitely say Link to the Past, Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds is my number one. Majora's Mask is my number two, and then Tears of the Kingdom is right there, right behind it.
Okay, that's dope.
Do you think there'll be another
if
one?
anything, I know, like I said, Leia has lost her Switch.
I think like another Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, like to make a trilogy. Do you think with the way that the story is going, how you're playing it right now, there'll be another one?
So I can't answer it like honestly yet because I haven't beat it, but I will say that I think the best course of action would be to make this the final one for this franchise and go to a different timeline. Only because I feel as though if they start trying to make a trilogy, then you start separating the fan base as far as if they didn't buy the first or second one. Now it's like, okay, I'm not going to get as many sales on the third one because now I have to go buy the last two to kind of understand and catch up. So I think they'll probably end it here, and then they may have a different way of playing it. I'm hoping there'll be a top down, like a Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds, because I did miss that type of format. That's just me personally. I like that kind of Legend of Zelda.
Wait, I was gonna say,
What's so weird is hold on.
So
What's
overall,
weird is, in this culture, in this culture, trilogies are the way to go. So I just wouldn't even be surprised.
But see,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
because to be honest, most of the Zelda games,
God of War broke that. Oh, well, Ragnarok.
That's true. That's true. I was going to say because with Zelda, most of the games were it was the first one, and then like maybe a pseudo sequel, like Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask, and then they went to the next one, Wind Waker to Phantom Hourglass, and then I wouldn't even really call Spirit Tracks the third because, and to be fair, not a lot of people like Spirit Tracks, so there's that. That was a pseudo trilogy.
Yeah, people hated that one from what I remember.
Yeah, like people like Phantom Hourglass for the most part, but Spirit Tracks was like, nah, yeah, that's dead. Yeah, and then now Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean, it's a train game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. I definitely, it's something I probably would get into, especially after seeing your footage on it. It's definitely something that I would want to get into because there are two selling points for me, like guaranteed on the video game. If it's open world and if there's customization.
Oh, yep. And there's a lot of customization in that game, from your glider to your
between the building and off of that.
Yeah, even to your weapons, you can use different
being able to kind of
to your weapons.
Like, oh, like that's all I need. Yeah. No, it definitely looks good. I'm mad that Leia lost her Switch, so I can't play. But yeah. So if anything, speaking of trilogies,
oh god,
you have an extra. Why am I not surprised? What?
Man, this one right here, my Tears of the Kingdom Switch. That's like my seventh one.
Why? Why do you have 3 Switches?
He's a Switch whore.
I am.
Yo, look, I can respect it though. I can respect it. That way, if anybody does come over and want to play something, I don't have a Switch. No problem. Like,
There you go.
there you go. You can play. But yeah, but speaking of trilogies though, the one game that I'm kind of dying to play that I haven't played yet is Jedi Survivor. I know that Deontay's been playing it. I love the first one. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. For anyone who doesn't know, like I'm such a huge Star Wars fan. My daughter's name is Leia Ray, so take that for what you will. But I love the first game. Cal Kestis definitely is a character that I want to see go live action at some point because the actor in general is amazing. He was great in Gotham. He was great in what is that?
Shameless.
Yep, great in Shameless. And in general, like I've seen him do stuff, man. And even as Cal Kestis, like he's great in that motion capture and being able to kind of personify all that stuff that we see and that we know as fans that the Jedi have to go through post Order 66. So,
matter of fact, he's
if
also
anything,
in
Deontay.
I'm sorry. I would say he's in Guardians, right?
No.
No.
That's
not Adam Warlock.
No.
Oh,
okay.
That's the guy
that's not
from.
him.
Okay.
That's the eyebrow
guy
kid
who was in that.
Okay.
Will Poulter. Yeah, his name's Will Poulter.
Yeah,
that's the
eyebrow
eyebrow
put some
kid.
respect on his name. We gotta put
I
some
know,
respect on his name. He got the glow up. He got the glow up.
Yeah, that's what I always know him as. Is he was in that little commercial with his sister, like squinting his eyebrows. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look. He had the glow up for Guardians, though, man. He didn't got buff.
He did.
He's handsome now. Like I didn't know he
Yeah,
could just
he
become
is.
handsome.
He got that Neville Longbottom treatment.
Yo, when I tell you Neville Longbottom, when I tell you he was my favorite character.
He grew up.
My favorite character. But seeing how he looked, you got there right. Right.
Wait, ain't he a model now?
Easily could have been
Probably
like Harry Potter.
Probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But it's almost like that remember all that he had. He forgot his puberty.
Like Harry.
Yeah. It's amazing what muscles and money do for you.
Man.
Yes.
Oh no! Money can take care of the muscles too. Money in general. All your aesthetic problems. It can't make you a better person, but it can make you look a hell of a lot better. But yeah, Deontay, because I haven't played Jedi Survivor as much of a Star Wars fan as I am, take it away, man. Tell me all about it, bro. I'm gonna try to play the clips that you gave me, and I'll try to cut them in between like what you're talking about. So go for it.
Okay. Yeah, so this one is a direct sequel from the first one. Without spoiling too much of the story, like Sam said, you follow the story of Cal Kestis, which is a young Padawan who, for the most part, watched his master just get kind of offed when Order 66 happened, and he kind of had to go on the run, with the little bit of abilities that he did know from kind of using the Force or mastering the Force, and all he really had at his disposal was like a damaged version of his dead master's lightsaber. And so with that, you kind of go on this journey across the galaxy. We end up getting to see some new locations that aren't, the normal Tatooine and Coruscant and, some of the major ones that we normally see in films. So they kind of flesh out the universe a little bit more, which is nice. You get the feeling that there's other stories that are being told in the universe except the Skywalker saga. And so throughout that first story, you end up meeting a little droid, BD1, who kind of, sets you on this path to learning more about some other old Jedi and some secrets that they might have had. And, just pretty much trying to find your way throughout the galaxy after all this is happening. So with the second one, again, it's a direct sequel. You pretty much you pick up 5 years later. I think in the flashbacks in the first game, he was probably like 15 or 16. The first game takes place, he's probably like 19, maybe 20. So in this game, it picks up, he's 25 years old. He's hardened. I mean, if you've seen pretty much all of the promo for it, he has a beard, his hair's grown in, it's shaggy, his brow is kind of furrowed, like he's kind of hardened. He's had to, kind of work his way through figuring out what I can do against the Empire, how I can fight back, who I can rally to my side to, really take a stab back at the people who just kind of threw my life into shambles. And I mean, for the most part, in terms of gameplay, so I still haven't finished the story yet, but the easiest way that I can describe how they went about going like creating this game is kind of the Kylo Ren meme where they're shooting at Luke and he's like more more. That's kind of what they decided to do. Like they was like, okay, we're gonna start on the first game. How can we expand on that? The first game you end up with three different stances. More. Let's add more stances. Customizations for your lightsaber. Let's add more. You want to customize BD1? Let's add more of that. You want to customize Cal? Okay, sure. Let's add more of that. You want skills? Let's add more of that. You want more skill trees, and it just keeps going. I kind of went through, I would say, like the opening press release and the marketing and whatnot. I think I watched like the initial trailer and that was it. I tried to stay away from anything else. I didn't want to, get glimpses of what the story was like. So I kind of went into it playing it brand new, fresh. I didn't get it day one, so I know that. Well, I did hear that there were a lot of optimization issues that people were having on PC. Some people on Xbox and even PlayStation 5 as well. Like they were having issues with frame rate. But for me, with the day one patch, and then I think they probably dropped a patch maybe like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after. Like for me, I haven't had any issues. I haven't ran into any bugs. And it's just been a really, really big, enjoyable experience. Like they mix in a lot of old enemies, they add new enemies, just to kind of give you a sense of, things are changing. It's not just you fighting the same creatures in the swamp. You're not fighting the same droids. You start meeting other people in the galaxy, other bounty hunters. There's even a hub that they kind of included in this one where you can kind of go back, meet people that you've met throughout the galaxy, and in a like the traditional Star Wars cantina style. You walk through the bar, you got people laid up in the back, you got other people over here playing music, and it just kind of creates this sense of I would say for the most part unity. They even went as far as to add gardening. Who asked for gardening?
Ow.
But
Right.
I mean, I didn't ask for it, but I mean, it's a nice little break away from all the hack and slash that I'm doing, all the Jedi mind control and fighting against the separatists, and it's a little break from that. Just let me just go plant some little plants over here, and I feel like for that they just design whatever they want for plants. It's like, let me put this here, let me put this there, put this here, and the next thing I know, all right, I'm gonna go over here and go fuck some shit up. So, but yeah, the story, it feels like it's definitely developing, like you said, with Cam. I think it's Cam Monaghan. Monaghan, I think is his last name.
Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah,
does a
yeah.
really, really good job, like at bringing like depth to the character. Throughout the way that the story is kind of evolving, it's not just, I'm here to hack and slash and fight whatever I can, but even throughout the cutscenes with the people that he meets, the friends that he makes, you kind of, for the most part, I start feeling like a really, really empathetic for him. I kind of understand what he's going through. This moment of being lost. There's no one around me that I have that I can kind of lean towards for support, and not everyone is as angry as I am, and they don't want to, punch back at the people who are taking over the fucking galaxy for the most part.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, it's really, really good. Again, they took a lot of good criticism and feedback from the first game. A lot of people asked for dismemberment. I was one of them. Like, I mean, I know I'm a Jedi, but I want to cut a nigga's head off. I want to cut someone's arms off. Like, I want to be able to slice some people in half. Dismemberment is a regular
I mean,
thing. Death animations.
it's Star Wars. It's got
Yes, exactly.
Star
Not
Wars.
just in the cutscenes. Like I want to dismember people just in regular. It's 12 o'clock. Let me go cut somebody in half. So that's something that's definitely added in. Exactly. Fast travel was a
Yeah.
big pain point in the first game, especially for people who are completionists. I'm a kind of a semi-completionist. Like I'll try my hardest to do everything that I can, but in the first game, it made it very, very difficult to want to complete because you had to go back through entire areas, entire labyrinths, entire dungeons just to go and collect one or two little crystals or whatever the collectibles are. So the fast travel definitely helps with that. Collectibles, they've increased. Like there's so many more collectibles. They added traversal and combat challenges. There's vendors that you can buy stuff from. They have like legendary creature challenges, bounty hunting. Like you can actually go against, people who they know you're out here, you're fucking shit up, you're making a name for yourself. There's a bounty on your head, and you could just be tra-la-line going through whatever it is that you're doing, and out of nowhere a bounty hunter pops up. So it really throws in like nice punches, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it still feels like the first game. It's just more and more for the most part.
More. That's what's up. Real quick,
yeah, I feel like
I was saying, me and Leia, we just watched the movies not too long ago, like all of them. And by the time we got to the third one, or like to the Return of the Jedi, because we watched all 6, and she was like, "Why does everybody keep getting their hands cut off?" And I was like, "That's just how it works, bro."
Yes,
like,
yes.
She's like,
sometimes you just,
geez, she's like, everybody.
That issue with the lightsaber came up like through the last trilogy. Like, why is it bouncing off of people? No, it was Obi-Wan that they were talking about. Why is the lightsaber bouncing off of people? Like, it's supposed to pretty much just like slice through anything, like butter.
them, exactly. Yeah.
So that was my thing. Like, it would make more sense that everybody got parried at this point. Like, especially with the stormtroopers who are in the zones that Cal Kestis is in, they should have tools to kind of like parry the lightsaber.
That's what you see. Like, you definitely get a lot more enemies who you can't just go into it with. I'm just gonna. What did he say from screen? I'm a hack and slash and cut a hole in it. Yeah, like you can't just go into it. Yeah, you can't go into it like that, because you do have enemies who will parry you. You do have enemies who use like different types of weapons. They got abilities that are unblockable. So they kind of mix in. Where you have to dodge. You can't just cut through things all the way.
That's dope.
I do have a question.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I really enjoyed about the first one. My fault.
Oh, you good? Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was curious, like with the inclusion of Cal Kestis in this Star Wars lore, do you think that they'll make a some type of story or like movie or some type of TV show, some type of short, some type of media about the character, where either where they are now in the Star Wars lore, or like just anywhere in the timeline? Do you think they'll ever like show some type of TV media of him?
Yeah, I think there's potential. His story, it's the easiest way to describe it, like, okay, this is the Skywalker saga. This is Cal Kestis' journey. And it kind of barely, kind of scratches the surface. Without spoiling too much in the first game, there is a very big iconic character that makes an appearance, and I think they probably, I want to say, make one in this one too. So it's not too far off where they can't, bring him in for, because the real life actors there, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to reprise the role at some point, because that's a check for him. But it's not off the table. They could definitely, slide him in, throw him in the back of a bar, tell the tale of some rogue Jedi who was fighting, right after Order 66. They could easily just kind of weave him into the lore, especially with how they're kind of branching out, like with Star Wars Visions, and then all of the TV shows that they're doing, The Mandalorian. And I can't remember. Ahsoka's getting ready to come out, so they're already fleshing out more of the universe. That would just be an easy way to just slide him on in, and he would definitely, with the way that he's portraying his role and giving it all in the games, that could easily translate to what being well on screen.
Okay.
I wonder would he pop up at the end of Ahsoka?
That would be cool.
In all honesty, though, like I feel like he definitely has to, right? Like, if he don't show up in Ahsoka, he's got to show up at some point by the time we get that Thrawn movie, because he clearly exists in that timeline, like, in that time frame of things.
Yeah,
he's clearly doing the stuff he's doing in that same time frame. But it also raises a lot of questions if he doesn't show up, just like how where Mandalorian is right now, where that show is, and where that story is going with the Thrawn stuff. It raises questions. I'm like, all right, well, if the Mandalorians are united and Din Djarin's over here and we got Cal Kestis fighting the Empire and doing his thing over here, why weren't they in the sequel trilogy? Because they're around, like, you know what I mean? Like, so what the hell were they doing? Now, I will say this. I do have a theory about Grogu showing up in because they're doing another Star Wars movie with Rey that's like 15 years later after the sequel trilogy. I guarantee Grogu's going to show up. And it's going to be a thing because he'll be an adult at that point, or he'll be older,
he will be. Yeah.
So, but it's going to completely fuck Rey up because when she see him, he's going to be a little Mandalorian in Mandalorian armor, but then they're going to have all these force powers. She's going to be like, wait, who the hell are you? Like, because don't get me wrong, Rey has got the, she's got the Luke Skywalker, Sari, Sue thing, a Mary Sue thing going on. However, I really think there's nobody out there really touching him. But and he a Jedi? Yeah, nah. He gonna have some.
He gonna put that little hand out.
Rey. Yeah, him even just seeing him doing his training and then seeing him in that final battle in like Mandalorian season 3, I was like, oh, if he can do all this like in toddler form, he's gonna be a beast by the time he gets to be like a teenager. Like,
I hope they don't skip that.
Just, the big, all puns intended, but big Yoda vibes. Oh, the transition.
Well, not the transition, but
to adulthood.
Yeah, like don't skip Grogu. Years down the line, you've introduced him. You've made him now this big part of Star Wars because you had to figure something out after Yoda. So you knew you needed another Yoda type character or another Yoda species character, and this is how you got there. So don't drop the ball on it.
Right.
I mean, I basically went and sold all this merchandise on them. Y'all better not drop the ball.
Yeah. No, honestly, man, I think Filoni and Favreau kind of they struck gold when they did this Grogu thing, man, because you got the cute factor. So even people who aren't into Star Wars know who the hell Grogu is. They call him Baby Yoda still, just like most of us do. Yeah. But everybody knows who he is. So if you show me a picture of him 10 years from, you know what I mean, or whatever the case is, and he's got the full Mando armor, he got a lightsaber on, and he's a little taller, I'm gonna be interested. I'm gonna be like, all right, like, so what the hell is he doing now? Because he was cute before, but now he a badass. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
So,
and they definitely got the Disney magic on.
Oh yeah. The puppeteering on him versus the CGI.
And no, I mean not just that. What I mean by that Disney magic. So Disney has this thing about shows. You can tell how quickly how good toy sales were based on how quickly a show comes back, or if they cut a show. If they cut a show quickly, there was a toy issue. It's not often the story; it's often a toy issue. Right. If you look at Disney shows such as like, what show? I didn't even just say Disney, but just like. Well, no, Disney. So the Spider-Man shows, we'll see Spider-Man do the little Spider-Man show do 2 or 3 seasons. We'll know that for sure. But there are some shows with Disney that have just been on for far too long. What is their show? PJ Masks?
Oh, I mean that show ain't bad. I actually kind of like PJ Masks.
But look at how long PJ Masks has been running.
Yeah, it has.
No, that's true.
It's $1 billion toy company.
Yeah.
Same thing with Paw Patrol.
Yeah,
Paw Patrol got a whole movie.
Yes, they are both $1 billion toys in their own right. So that's why I said they better drop the Disney magic with Baby Yoda, because like you've already got the blessing for the merchandise, and Disney's all on board. Continue to write the stories.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, what's funny is I should have had this clip popped up, but I seen George Lucas, I guess, doing like a roundtable discussion with Kathleen Kennedy, and he was kind of discussing the general, like, the idea of what the story is behind Star Wars, about like, somebody basically being selfish and like taking over and ruining everything for everybody. And he's like looking at Kathleen Kennedy as he's saying all this. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, all right, well, that's pretty thick right there. We got that tension set up real nice. But yeah, no, I am but obviously the Jedi Survivor is the second one of a trilogy, because clearly, even though I'm sure you haven't beat it, right, yet, Deontay?
Not yet. I feel like I'm probably like almost towards the end. Like I think I'm at like 80% on most planets. So Yeah, the way it's going, it's definitely going to be a trilogy.
So based off of what you've seen so far between the first game and the second game,
Wait, say what you said again. You kind of broke up.
I died again.
Yeah.
No, I was
You lost a
saying
life.
based on based on what the story is, you are now in the second game with that in the first game. Where do you think the story is going to go for the third game? Without spoilers,
I don't
if you
think.
can.
I mean, I feel like it'll. I mean, there'll probably be, a big penultimate in the third game, but I feel like the way that his character is developing in this one, he's kind of starting to learn that there are other options that he has in life besides fighting.
Mm.
So,
No,
I
that's
mean,
true.
it could be where he gets put into a position where he has no choice but to fight. He has to probably protect the ones he loves, or protect himself. Because there are some opposing forces trying to get rid of him. But it feels like they're starting to add more depth to the character, where he's not so jaded and he's not so hard, where he feels like he doesn't have to fight all the time.
I mean, I get that. Like as far as like adding a bit of depth to a character. However, if I was a Jedi or 66 happened, I'd be all over it. Like, now granted, I do think just fighting the Empire straight up single-handedly is foolish because it's the Empire. But at
Yes.
the same time, I mean, like they kind of set it up in the first game where he's supposed to be trying to go find the other Force sensitive, and based between that and the shows and stuff like that and the movies, we know that there are other Jedis out there.
Yeah.
Now the one thing, even though that there's a logical explanation, I guess them grouping up would alert the Empire to where they all are, and obviously that would be bad. Based on who we've seen is still around at this point, I never understood why they haven't at least been communicating, because apparently there's no
In some
phones in
kind of
Star
way,
Wars.
yeah.
Right, there's no phones and
Yeah.
there's no cameras either outside of like the one that caught Anakin killing everybody. Like there's no cameras. So I don't know. There's I've always wondered, like, yo, like, because that would be the thing I would do. Like, all right, let me go find these other Jedi. Even if we don't stick together, when the shit is going down, I know where to find you, or I can call you to be like, hey, we got to go do X, Y, and Z. I need you to show up.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened yet because I'm waiting for a whole Jedi squad moment. I need Ahsoka. I need Luke. You know what I'm saying? I need Grogu. I need Cal
Just pop
Kestis.
out of
Like, you know what I
nowhere.
mean? Like, right, just like
Avengers
straight, like
assemble.
boom. Right. Like I want that. Like I'm a big crossover kind of person. Like that's why I said headcanon is the only canon that matters, because I'm that person. I'm like, oh, My Hero Academia and One Punch are connected. They just further apart in the timeline. Like, like I'll do that and be perfectly content with that being my reality. Like you don't have to accept that, but now they connected.
Actually,
Right. I mean, look, like I can go into
you
a
kind
theory. I
of
can
just
go
made
into
me think about something
how I
there.
connect. No, I mean, look, between the power of One for All and then granted they've explained Saitama, but there's a lot of things that are very similar, like the way they have the superhero system set up where there's schools and they kind of teaching everybody how to use their abilities, and they're slightly, to organize after that. By the time you get to One Punch, everything is extremely organized. Like, you know what I mean? There's like all that kind of shit. So I don't know. I see the connections there. But like I said, headcanon to me is all that matters. So I'm hoping that we get to at least see it, you know what I mean, live. I would love to see Cal and Ahsoka and Luke, because even with Ahsoka and Luke, just for that brief moment they were in Mandalorian, I was super hyped because I'm like, damn, like,
Yeah.
well, I was super hyped.
Dawson
I was
did a
super hyped.
great job.
Man, I've always loved Rosario Dawson, but that's one of those roles that she was like born for. Like that role is definitely for her. But even then, I wanted more of Luke and Ahsoka, because I'm like, dude, we got Anakin's apprentice and his son right here. Like, there's a conversation that needs to be happening right now. Like, why isn't she trying to either tell him about who his father actually was, or why is he not asking who was my father before all of this? And there's no better person to ask, like, you know what I mean, besides Ben is dead.
His
So Ahsoka's the only person who would know him. So I only had a couple other things I wanted to talk about. We can go as in depth as you guys want to, because I know we're reaching the hour mark. Not that that's a hard cutoff, because we definitely did an hour 47 the last time. But I did want to talk about the Mortal Kombat trailer, because
yes,
I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat fan either.
but it was
However,
good.
I played the last three. Right, I played all last three. And just the way they rebooted the franchise with those three, I was story-wise, like picture as chef's kiss. Like you couldn't do anything better than that. So for them to now be rebooting again, obviously based on how Mortal Kombat 11 ended, to restart it again with the new timeline with my boy, that one's called a Kung Lao. Liu Kang as the new basically elder god. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm hyped for that.
Yeah.
I was a little confused in the trailer though, because he was talking about like, oh, you could have a life of peace, and I'm like, you do know this is Mortal Kombat, right? Like, I'm like ain't no peace, brother. Like, that's not a thing. But the trailer looked really good. Yeah, obviously they're not going to pull any punches when it comes to the graphic nature of the show. So I mean of the game. So I'm happy about that. Obviously, I'm curious to see what the story is going to be with the timeline being rebooted and having Liu Kang be the basically creator of this new timeline, to see what I had in mind and to see how bad it's going to go. Because obviously we saw how bad shit got before. So I'm assuming it's going to go down a slightly similar downward trajectory.
Hopefully he can do more than Raiden, because this is my personal opinion. I felt like Raiden was never able to do anything really, even though this man was a god. Like, he still was just, sorry, my hands is tied. You know, I mean, the elder god said sorry. like, bro, like, can you do something? Help me, please. Like,
I broke my leg. Raiden,
like,
help
I'm
me.
sorry, I'm on break.
Nah, Raiden in that last trilogy, I will honestly say Raiden was trash, dog. Like, I felt Liu Kang's like frustration with him by the end of that first game. Like, dude, like every time shit goes bad, it's because you told us something. I'm gonna whoop your ass, and then you just saw what happened to Liu Kang. So, but the idea behind it, I fully understood it. I'm like, yeah, everything he's told them has led them into worse situations than they were in the first time. Like I was hyped when Kung Lao beat Shao Kahn. I was like, oh shit, he beat Shao Kahn? Snap. I was like, oh. Like, it don't matter. Like, it don't matter. But yeah, the story I thought for the trilogy was really good. And I don't imagine that the story for this one is going to be any less good. Because I'll be honest, like I said, I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat fan, but the story for these last three, it hooked me. That was the hook for me. Like, the gameplay is, that's cool, but the story hooked the hell out of me with this one. Like, it got me.
I think that with this new reboot, I think the what's probably the story going to be behind this one is Liu Kang, goes back in time, starts his whole timeline again, and bring some type of peace and prosperity. Because I see that in the trailer, you got Katana and Melina
together.
Yeah, they're together. Even though she kind of has that look in her eye, like she's kind of envious, but they're still like together and curious about what's coming. You got Sub-Zero and Scorpion, looking like they were about to beef, but then they
work together. Yeah.
And so I'm thinking what's going to happen is it's probably going to be like, you have choices. They're either going to a new evil force is going to come, like as you saw, Shang Tsung appears. They may have some other people. Quan Chi may show up. This is just speculation, but I think
another Deadly Alliance.
Yeah, like there's probably going to be some new evil, maybe some new evil characters show up and kind of upset that balance of prosperity in Liu Kang's new realm, and kind of put that bug in each other's ear to try to mess with their insecurities, to once again kind of cause combat amongst each other, like Melina.
Yeah, because there has to be a catalyst, that, in order for them to get to actually doing the first tournament of Mortal Kombat.
Right,
Mortal Kombat. Right. So yeah, I'm curious what differences are going to be in the story, like from the original timeline.
I will say the addition, like we were talking earlier about Mortal Kombat 1. I think they said there's going to be like assists, how Marvel vs. Capcom the original was. how it was like one player, like 1v1, and then you have an assist character that maybe like extend combos and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see how that plays out in Mortal Kombat. And also, I was just actually looking at my phone, and apparently Amazon accidentally leaked a character potentially going to be showing up from The Boys.
Oh yeah, Carl Urban. Yeah, I heard about that.
That's a bad leak.
Homelander.
Yeah. Oh, Homelander. Oh no, I heard Carl Urban.
I heard
who?
Somebody said it was Homelander, but I mean it could be either way.
Cool.
Either way, a guest character may be from The Boys.
I can see Homelander.
Okay. Yeah, I could.
Uh,
I saw Jean
kicker.
Claude is going to be
Omni-Man.
Jean Claude Van Damme.
Oh gosh.
Man, Omni-Man sweeping everybody.
OP.
Yeah.
OP is.
Think, Liu Kang.
Fuck.
Think.
Yeah, no, but Homelander I think would fit well. Homelander, right? Exactly. Why did you make me do this? Yeah, no, but Homelander, like personality and combat wise, he fits in the Mortal Kombat like perfectly. And shit, Billy Butcher too. Billy definitely fits that genre.
Well, no, so I got it
especially when you see
wrong.
characters-
Actually, he's for the movie. He's in talks to play. I think it was Johnny Cage in the next Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah. I
Yes.
did see that.
Oh, that's
And then
interesting.
but what makes it interesting even more so with that, the fact that they're even doing a sequel to that movie, that's fucking mind blowing. And then
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they
look,
went into it knowing they were going to do a sequel, so they pretty much was like, "We don't care how you guys feel about the first movie because we're going to do another one."
and fix all the stuff you guys don't like, hopefully.
Exactly.
Because that's the thing. There were some things that really worked, like that intro with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. That was phenomenal. Like, that was great.
It was.
But
really good.
but everything else after that was just like,
Yeah. Especially
Like,
Jax,
more-
man. Them little arms he had. Oh god.
yeah,
My man
yeah,
had the Lila arms from Guardians. of the
Yeah, he looked like Lila from Guardians.
Yo, when I tell you, just like the way they showed him in the beginning, I was like, wait, we're not really doing this, are we? Like, that's not
Man,
powers. I was like, so if he didn't lose his arm,
Think he wouldn't have got powers.
right?
so if he didn't lose his arms, would he still have those powers? Yeah. So I don't know. And then everything else was wrong with it. I don't know. I had a bunch of issues with it. I was cool with Kung Lao getting murdered though. I thought that was a nice way to kind of set the tone for like how serious it was.
That's my boy. That hurt my heart.
I thought it was cool. I mean, it was all right. Oh yeah, no,
They could kill. They could have killed their original character. Don't kill Kung Lao. Kill that original character. Nobody cared for him.
They should have killed
the creative character.
With garbage.
Oh yeah, she was horrible too. I hated how they made the two
Kano
girls fight
was
each other
good.
because they're girls.
Yeah,
Kano
yeah.
was
Kano was
definitely one of
straight
the
out of
best.
the book.
Oh,
He's
he
one
was
of the best things
hilarious.
in the movie. Yeah, he's one of the best things in the movie.
He's like one of those fucking egg rolls.
Yeah, no, he was definitely the best thing in the movie. And one last thing that I want to discuss is the Budokai remake. I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong, but I do want to talk about that because I would say outside of like what was that Duke Nukem 3D or whatever the fuck it was. This has got to be probably one of the most this and what Elder Scrolls 6 and Grand Theft Auto 6 are probably like the most anticipated games like ever of all time. Like I've been waiting for a Budokai 4 remake since pretty much after PS2 died. Like that's
I'm ready to break some controllers.
Man, let me tell you, that's gonna be some expensive breaking.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
we about to get it in. That's straight beef. I don't want none of that Tenkaichi mess. I want straight Budokai 3 energy.
Show up to a tournament with a disposable controller.
Right.
You better go get some construction.
No, I had to go into it like I had full intention on breaking this thing.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't want none of that.
Nah,
That you can only pick the transformation. Like I want you can juice up in the middle of the fight. Super Saiyan 1,
It
just all
transformed.
no from Kaioken all the way to Ultra Instinct. I want it all right
Oh yeah,
available
no,
when
that's
I
gonna be
pick
hot.
Goku. Yeah, I want none of that. Oh, TK, you pick Super Saiyan 2 or you pick God mode. No, I don't want none of
No,
Yeah, no,
that's
I,
fair.
honestly,
that.
that's yeah, yeah. No, I loved being able to do that, and it makes the gameplay more interesting because you got to figure out how to time that without getting your ass beat in the process. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you're
yeah.
completely vulnerable while you're charging up, and best believe I've had plenty of matches where anytime we start charging up, oh, I'm rushing you. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm about to just straight hit you with this combo, hit you with this special real quick, and then I'm gonna charge up. Like
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that in the Budokai remake, I really do hope that they touch on the different universes, like when they add characters, because I know in I can't remember what is the what's the new Xenoverse 3, like Xenoverse. I know they like added so many different characters from the different series. I think they recently added Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo in the game. So I'm hoping that in Budokai maybe 4 or whatever they're going to call it. I'm hoping that they add, some of the characters from like the new Broly, Beerus, and even some characters from Universe 6 and the other universes. Like my favorite, honestly, are the Trio de Danger in Dragon Ball Super, the three wolf enemies. Like one, like he takes damage and he grows in size every time he takes damage. The other one had like a poison ability, and the other one I forgot what he did. I think he was either super speed or he eats energy, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I want them to just kind of play around like almost like the tournament of power. How they just had all these different fighters, and I kind of want them to not add everybody, but just some from here and there that were kind of like in the show and made them.
You can best believe it's gonna be a lot of DLC.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, but that was the thing. That was the great thing about Tenkaichi back in the day. It was the roster. Like, literally had like you could be a fucking Cyberman. You could be Cell Jr. Like,
yeah.
Like if they don't have
that. That was the so I don't imagine that everybody. Oh, I'm breaking up. But my question would be, or my hope would be that outside of like the new version of Broly, am I gonna get the old version too? Like, you know what I mean? If I like the same thing like with Cell, like, you know what I mean? I got the old, classic Cell. Am I gonna get the one from Super? Like,
the Super Max,
like, to be able to even put the old school Broly, right. But the idea of being able to put like the new Broly versus the old Broly in a match, like, you know what I mean, and just being able to see how that's gonna play out, I would geek for that kind of stuff because, like I said, headcanon. But yeah, no, the multiverse thing or the multiple universes, like, I definitely don't think they're going to slip up on the roster. If anything, Roger's concern is probably what more likely would be the issue there, is the gameplay style that they're going to go with. Like, you know what I mean? Because you got people who are hardcore Tenkaichi fans, like, you know what I mean? And that's their Bible. Like, I mean, and then you got people who stopped after Budokai.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, that could be something that could make or break, I guess, on the fandom as far as how they do it. And in all honesty, I wouldn't even be opposed to them kind of slightly changing it so that way it's almost even a mixture of both. Like, you know what I mean? I definitely support the idea of not necessarily picking the transformed versions, but being able to having to do it and maybe even set it up where it might even be a thing where you pick what transformations that you want. So I may not want to go Super Saiyan 1, but I can go Super Saiyan 2 and Ultra Instinct, but you have to power up to certain amounts to be able to do that. So no, I'm a Super Saiyan 2, but I got Ultra Instinct, but I got to get it to 3 bars instead of just the 2 bars for that one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that. I think that could work and make
basically
it keep it fresh.
If you choose whatever transformation, now you have to kind of scale it so that if you want to go to the next one, it's a little bit harder because you done already went to Super Saiyan 2 when you picked it. I get what you're saying.
Right. But yeah, so I'm hoping that.
And then there was
the
right, counter in that was. The counter in that one was way better than what the Tenkaichis were because Budokai 3 had mastered the counter technique. It was none of that Tekken issue where if somebody just kept using the same move and there was nothing you could really do about it. You couldn't do that in Budokai 3. Because somebody can instant transmission behind you and somebody can live in daylights out you. So, they literally were the perfect fighting game as far as the Dragon Ball Z magic and removing that issue. Like, dude, did you just cheat your way through this fight? There was none of that. You got it in. That's all you did was get it in the Budokai 3-day. So I hope they keep a lot of that magic, because that's all it was. It was just pure magic. Like I said, me and my brothers broke playing controllers. We played with no joystick top. The whole top of the joystick was gone, and we were still going for
Just
it.
the
You're
nails.
not going to get this. Yeah.
Man.
Right.
Oh, shit.
Right, I was gonna say that's one of those ones where any other game you should play with that controller, everything's just going to the left a little bit, where you're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, like,
Yeah.
right, this was the Budokai controller. Yeah, no, those
How many games you ever played that
days,
you was
man,
willing
like,
to sacrifice a controller?
Man.
well, I'll say, but nowadays with $70, we're gonna have to discuss some things before people start complaining and shit. Because I ain't trying to pay another $70 for this controller, dog. Because
So look, man,
They'll never
Yeah,
do that again. It'll probably be
I'm
triggers.
afraid you.
Yeah, it'll probably be L2 R2.
yeah,
So
they
instead of
gotta
you
do
doing
something.
say you're doing this, you'll be clicking from the back.
Yeah, no, they got to do something, man, because literally destroyed computers. I mean, controllers that way. But I'm excited for it. Like, and I didn't bring this up or mention it as a topic for us to talk about. But one of my coworkers has been talking to me about Tekken 8 a couple weeks, and yeah, I'm hyped for that. Tekken is like the one fighting game. I'm not a big Street Fighter fan. I'm not a big Mortal Kombat fan like that. However, Tekken though, yeah, no, Tekken's the shit. Tekken is top notch. Like, the 3D environment, the characters, the combos, the bosses. I mean, and with any fighting game, I guess you can always take the story with a grain of salt. But yeah. Real quick, I guess before we cut everything off and go our separate ways, what's everybody playing right now?
Well, as you know, I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, but also on PlayStation, me and D, we were playing a little bit of Omega Strikers. It's almost like what do you want to call it? Like soccer / air hockey with special powers. It's a free to play game. It's actually pretty cool. 3v3 gameplay, really nice. I would recommend maybe like starting off playing quick play and kind of get into it.
Okay. I guess that covers you.
Yeah, that Jedi Survivor. Not as much Overwatch lately. Obviously the news surrounding that. Yeah, for the most part. And Dead Island. I've been playing a lot of Dead Island too.
Nice. Roger, what you playing?
A lot of No Man's Sky right now, but enjoying that. Search involvement updates. It's not that original BS that they originally put out. And Surviving Mars has been my big thing. Surviving Mars is real-time strategy, and it's just colonization of Mars. I mean, you've really got to be 10 steps ahead in Surviving Mars. Or otherwise, like, you can lose your whole colony. I've seen a whole colony suffocate. Like, a meteor strike came down, and I lost, like 500 people.
Damn.
I was so mad. I was hurt because I was working hard. You literally have to, the second you think things are going to move, it's not.
Yeah, no, that is the one thing with RTS games, especially like resource management games. If you're not initially, like from my personal experience, that first playthrough, you're pretty much always gonna fail.
Yeah.
This is what I need to focus on, like from the beginning, and then focus on that. So I wouldn't imagine Survivor Mars any different.
But mind you, wait, that wasn't even my first go ring. When that happened, that wasn't even the first playthrough. That was like the second playthrough, third playthrough.
Damn.
Yeah, it gets it. You really got to be on it. Like, this isn't like losing like one of your best soldiers, XCOM style. Like, when it hits the fan, it hits the fan. Like, and then the thing, you're not just going to instantly get resources from Earth. That's not a thing. It takes some time before resources come from Earth. So you like really got to be on it, and then trying to mine the the asteroids, that takes a minute. So like I'm mining asteroids, but I gotta be mindful that the asteroid is going to leave orbit. So I gotta get my crew out of there before I lose my team. And I've lost teams out there in space. So like I mean, when I say don't bother me when I'm playing this game, don't look at me, don't ask me no questions. I'm like you have to pause and look at each board because like you're playing in space, on planet, and below the planet. So you're mining underground. You're doing all these different things. Like you literally have about 3 boards. So you have the surface of Mars, the underground of Mars, and you on an asteroid. And asteroids time out quickly.
Why is my
So I was like, if you want to challenge,
I told you CJ was gonna show up at the end.
yeah. But that's my cool. I'm out, guys.
I told you.
All right, Roger,
man. Thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate you, bro, man. Always a pleasure.
Welcome.
I told y'all CJ was gonna show up and be like, "Hey, what's up, y'all?" Like, I'm sorry, like, I told y'all. Yo, CJ, what's funny about you coming in right now, bro, is we're literally wrapping it up.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, y'all, man. I've been trying to
no, you're good. It's all good. We are going to be doing another one on. Yeah, no, you sound good. I mean, you never had any issues before. What was I going to say? If anything, we are going to do another podcast on Sunday. I'm not sure what everybody's availability is, but I know this was the first one we've done in like 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, bet. I know the first one we did was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. The idea was for it to be weekly. For one, I know everybody just has lives and is busy and that kind of stuff, whether it's work or personal stuff. Me personally, I know in the past few weeks, I had just been going through stuff and just trying to deal. So that was one of those things where, like, I guess I'll just sit here and do whatever it is I'm doing. On TikTok, I call it Mental Health Mondays, and I had a complete breakdown on Monday. But I feel way better after that, though. Like I feel way better, which is why, which is why I've been posting stuff and like, because I'm like, all right, like I want to focus on this, which is why before 2D I was mentioning to you, I'm kind of transitioning into, I don't want to call it being more healthy, but basically I'm changing certain habits so that way I can stay productive and actually, going somewhere. There's a couple milestones that I hit recently that kind of, well, not recently, one of them, I guess, recently. Yeah. But I there was at one point on I think there was a TikTok vid I did about Wagadu. That's the African Wizarding School in Harry Potter. That randomly got like 15,000 views, which I wasn't expecting because I had just was playing Hogwarts Legacy and they got mentioned and I looked it up and I was like, holy shit! Like, why is nobody talking about this? 15,000 views. I was watching New Jack City one day, which is a movie I have seen a million times over. Noticed Vin Diesel was in it. It took 10 seconds to make that clip. 45,000 views. Shit, like, all right, like that's random. And then on Star Wars Day, I had a post, and one of the first 10 views on it, and the only comment on it for a while was the official Star Wars account. I was like, damn, how about that? So
big ups, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. But if anything, it definitely all serves as motivation to kind of keep doing what I'm doing. Like they're all, the way I'm looking at it, it's all kind of signs of like yeah, no, everything don't quite hit like this, which is not going to in general, no matter what you do. Not everything's going to be a banger. Like, you know what I mean? Not everything is going to be knocked out the park or whatever the case is.
Right.
And shit, even before you even get there, not even everything is going to be exactly how you want it to be or how you envision it. But I have come to learn, just put something out there, even if it's not exactly what you want. Just put it out there. Just do it. Stay consistent. And that's another thing that I've been working on too, is consistency. And that's a big issue because there's a lot of times where we all have bad days or whatever the case, and you just don't feel like doing nothing. But if you stay consistent, stuff will happen. Stuff will start to happen. And so that's kind of on now, is just staying consistent, staying organized for one, and trying to be prepared ahead of time, which is something I started doing this week. Was I actually, instead of shooting the stuff that I was before or days before, and was editing up until the day of, at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Oh shit, there we go. But I can drop it early that morning instead of shooting it in the morning and then trying to edit them at work, and then I can't post it till like 4 or 5 o'clock, in which case I've kind of missed the window of engagement and shit. So I'm liking this new kind of wave I'm on, and I'm trying to ride it as long as possible. So I appreciate you guys coming and supporting me and my dad's gonna hang out in the basement. As usual. I've known all of you guys for some years now. I know that you guys, I know you two. I know Cedric, you've met Roger before, and you've met CJ before. CJ, I know you haven't met Deontay before. That's in Kyridian. But I know all of you guys, and I wouldn't have invited any of you here, for one, if I didn't trust you guys as far as just your knowledge, and then just, as far as being a part of what I'm doing. If I didn't think you had anything to offer, I wouldn't ask you guys to be here. So I appreciate you guys coming and giving your opinions and giving your time. Because as I mentioned before, I know that time is important to all of us. We all have lives, we all have families. Some of us are married. So I appreciate you guys taking the time out to be here. And I'll reach out to you guys, I guess, after this, see who's available for Sunday. We'll kind of do it again. Be more did it the last time, where to kind of be a general kind of overview of stuff instead of it just being video games. I might do video games every Friday, but it'll be kind of like about movies and TV shows, video games too. Pretty much anything that would be, I guess, like I said, relatively nerdy. I always say that about My Dad's Basement. Like I said, movies, TV shows, cartoons, anything from like the late 70s to like the early 90s, early 2000s. That's considered relatively nerdy. I'm probably into it, so I'm probably going to talk about it at some point. So once again, I appreciate my dad. And until Sunday, I will see you. I will definitely talk to you guys before then. But once again, I appreciate you guys, man. And thanks for coming to the basement. And I really appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
All righty.
No, appreciate you coming, CJ. You at the tail end, but you were here, man. You showed up. That's what matters.
CPT time. CPT time.
Right. To the extreme. But yeah, all right, y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. I will definitely hit y'all up, man, and we'll talk. Once again, thanks for coming by the basement. You guys have a good one.
All right, you do the same.
Deuces.
Brother.